everybody. Welcome back into the shed for our semi-weekly conversation with my wonderful co-host, Eva Frazier. Eva, thank you so much for coming by. Good to see you.
You too. I like this semi-weekly.
Semi-weekly? It's weekly. Let's just call it weekly.
Every other week erratic.
Yeah. But we should call it weekly so that we can stay disciplined and like make it happen.
It's on my calendar every week.
I mean, things happen. Like, for instance, tomorrow morning I'm leaving. That's why we're here on a Thursday, not a Friday. Leaving for Washington, D.C. in the morning. Not a work trip, although, you know, learning about government and seeing all the wonderful museums.
You could write off a few of those meals, maybe.
It could be work-related. I'm going there because it's not cold enough in Portland. And I just wanted to, you know, get a little colder, I guess.
Tell me, what's the weather outlook?
Teens?
10? Teens.
Yeah, definitely teens, I'm thinking. Highs are kind of like our lows, 30. We may get to like high 30s over there. So
what's your layering strategy?
Only be a few days. Haven't packed yet, so it remains to be seen. I'm pretty good about layering. I always have like I call them secrets. I got that from my friend Matt. It's like a secret layer. Pretty much
secret layer.
All but 4 or 5 months of the year, I have like a secret layer.
Are you
just
wearing
like
lawn johns right now?
Yeah,
okay.
Like a little secret layer of pants. Partly because
no longer secret.
Yeah, arthritic knees. You know, I like to keep my legs warm. At the end, it's like this big puffy, so I almost don't need the layers, right? So once you put a puffy on, I mean, like,
and then on the East Coast is always hot inside.
Yeah,
of that contrast.
Right. So we're like doing the research of museums, like, got to have a coat check, or it's going to change the whole strategy. Like, just going to be an interesting time to really think about American government, democracy, what our nation's capital stands for. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually like, I like that, you know, we're in this, I don't like that we're in this moment with the Trump administration coming in some ways. But at the same time, like for my 8th grade son, going in there at this time where these things are like he's been hearing us talk so much about it.
Did you get your tickets to the FBI museum or whatever you were talking about?
No, that did not come through because it was just timing, and we didn't hear back from people. I don't know. I think maybe the offices of senators or congressmen or whatever have maybe more on their plate than dealing with tourist requests for the FBI museum. So I don't know.
That's fair.
Big technological update. Finally, our iPad with the map and whatever else we want is connected to the video. So when we talk about routes or anything else, I even loaded up.
Really on the spot.
Yeah, I even loaded up the city's online bike map that I can get to really quickly. So you're really on the spot.
Do you have like a sound for when I'm like take a turn and it's?
I have
like
all the sounds. I can just do it all in post. You know, editing. I can just find any sounds I want. So hey, how have you been? What's the latest?
Yeah. So I was in New York again.
Yeah,
for a wedding. My friend Matt got married. It was really cute. It was also really freaking cold.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, you know, long pea coat is my like top layer always because it covers your thighs, a little warmer. Yep. I just walk everywhere and take the subway though.
Pea coat, East Coast. The West Coast equivalent of that is just basically a sleeping bag. It's like a floor to ceiling puffer that people wear.
No, they have those too.
Oh, they do?
There's definitely, that's like...
I feel
that's like the Italian grandma coat.
There you go. Yeah, that's right.
The floor length puffy coat.
Yeah.
Which is a sleeping bag with the bottom cut off.
Yeah. I thought that was more of a Portland thing. Maybe I'm wrong. And then you came back and you led this the BikeLoud meeting down at the Central Library last night or Tuesday night?
Yeah, I feel like I've been in meetings just constantly.
Tell us all about them. Spill the tea. Who you been meeting with?
Spilling the tea.
Yeah, who you been meeting with? The ones that you can tell us that aren't confidential, since you're high-ranking member of the bike lobby.
There are, you know. So we hired a bike buddy program manager.
Oh, you found someone great.
Is, pretty cool.
Cool.
It took a minute. We're still waiting for all the rubber stamps from PSEF because they have a lot of, I don't know. Somebody called them Byzantine. Rules and rigmarole to get everything through.
PSEF, the program that gave you the grant to hire.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a lot of money. I get it. It's a government program, so we need to make sure everything's kind of crossed and dotted.
You'll have to hire another person for grant coordination.
It feels like we need to hire like another human that just does like the treasury part of it. But
oh my gosh,
luckily we have very hardworking volunteers.
Cool.
Who are only slightly burned out.
Okay. Well.
But so Nikki Margarita Enriquez is our new Bike Buddy program manager. She started like literally 2 nights ago.
Exciting.
So very, very fresh and green with us, but has experience with like communications, with leading rides, with community outreach. So lot of qualifications. We honestly had like a pretty incredible group of people that we got to interview, and like, man, there's some people out there that have like a lot of great skills, just looking for jobs, honestly.
I love it. That's what powers our amazing community here.
Oh, totally.
Smart people looking to do cool things.
Yeah. So that's like exciting and fun, in contrast to like the terrible things that are transpiring due to Trump entering office. I have a friend who works for the federal government at the VA, and she's like kind of scared for people that she works with. Like if you have DEI in your title, you're fired.
Do you think that's going to happen really quickly? Or, I mean, like so many of these things I feel are just like shock and awe. Let's create chaos and confusion and not really going to become policy.
I mean, honestly,
for a while.
I'm like a little bit disconnected. I'm trying to like really focus just locally and on what we can do here. So
yeah,
I'll try not to digress into federal politics.
You know, I love digressing and I love politics, so we may go there, but it's certainly
always.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly weighing on a lot of folks' minds. You know, I keep coming back to the local thing. You know, even this morning, the county put out a statement saying that they're really pressing the state legislature to fund transportation at the level it's necessary. Tomorrow, there's a kickoff for the Move Oregon Political Action Committee. Yeah. Is it Move Oregon Forward?
Oregon Moves.
Oregon Moves? Oh, shoot. There's Moving Oregon Forward and Oregon Moves. They're totally separate. They're both working on similar things. Anyway, one's a coalition of nonprofits, which is going to have different ability to lobby. But this one called I have it here. It is Oregon Moves PAC. So Oregon Moves Political Action Committee, where they can do it like 501c4. Right. They can really just lock in on straight up lobbying. I think they can send checks to politicians, the whole nine. That's kicking off tomorrow at Tabor Space in Southeast. It's going to have some interesting speakers, that sort of thing. Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of sentiment around, hey, y'all, we got to really focus here locally to try to, you know, withstand whatever silliness might be coming down the pike. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty around some of the grants that have already been awarded to local projects, right? So like people at ODOT are probably really freaking out. Like a lot of that, probably at least $1 billion, I would say, because there's $400 million for I-5 Rose Corridor, the reconnecting communities thing. There was another multi-$100 million, I think, to the I-5 bridge project, the interstate bridge thing. So I don't think both of those are like contracts written and out the door. So I would assume those are a little bit uncertain. So yeah, it's going to be quite a time. So I don't know, the word, I guess, for advocates out there or people that are connecting with government or reaching out to your representatives, I don't know, keep in mind that they're additionally freaked out right now because people don't really know what's going to happen with all that stuff. But I mean, in a lot of ways, my solace is like, I've always been more excited about the local stuff in a lot of ways. And I think if maybe it can increase urgency for some of these like more short-term, cheap DIY local solutions to things. Yeah. You know, I think it's really the time to strike on a lot of that stuff. I mean, especially if you look locally at PBOT with the fact that, you know, I feel like I've been saying their budget is in trouble pretty much every year I've been doing this for the last couple decades.
Has it ever not been in trouble?
But I think now it's
been like surplus.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think if I was covering them back, 15 years ago, knowing what I know now, I probably wouldn't frame it as such a crisis because back then I would just take in what they told me and then basically spit it back out for the most part. Mm-hmm. And I bet a lot of it was just somewhat bluster and trying to show that they're in a crisis to increase their political position. Don't get me wrong, they have some structural issues, but now I don't think there's any hiding the fact that it's really, really down to the bone and they're facing some pretty serious times. And like the city overall. Yeah. I mean, Portland Public Schools put out a thing saying they're $20 million short. Right now the overall city budget says 100, and they're even talking about police and fire submitting some cut proposals. So
remember during the recession, they got rid of they stopped mowing the lawns and doing janitorial work. It was right. Wow. Okay.
I think that's the kind of stuff we're probably looking at. Yeah.
PPS.
So it's time to fire up all that mutual aid stuff that really was pretty robust during the George Floyd protests, I think. In my opinion, I think that's one of the most important things that came out of those protests was a lot of people getting to know each other and a lot of email lists getting larger for things like mutual aid and community help. So I'm hoping probably hoping we can lean on that stuff. Not even as an emergency. Those are just things that we should be making stronger.
Nick Flowers in our meeting, he was like, if everybody had 2 parties a year, we would be going to a lot of parties. Like, we need more parties. We need either just to like meet your neighbors and hang out with people and like share a laugh, or like to do political action or, whatever kind of drives you.
I agree. I mean, like, now's the time to like host stuff, have meetings, have events. I started subscribing to the Atlantic because I kept reading really interesting things in there that I liked. And their cover issue, it's called The Antisocial Century, and it just lays out a lot of the trends that, I mean, I'm sure you're aware of, but just like how people are going into themselves, and a lot of the COVID-related isolation sort of behaviors stuck for a lot of people. And there's been, instead of going to get a slice of pizza, people will just DoorDash it now. Like, a lot of trends are pointing toward, people being more insular. And there's obviously a ton of ramifications for that. It can explain even our current political divisions in a lot of ways. But I thought that was super interesting. I won't go into it too much, but like one of the interesting takeaways from that article to me was like the missing middle. Like, we talk about that with housing, but this sociologist person, and I'm forgetting the author, but they were talking about we're really close to like our next of kin or our roommates or our family that we live with in our housing unit. And then we're also close to like the people who agree with us online, because our timelines are all fed to just like reinforce the echo chamber. But what people are missing socially is that middle. Right. It's like the strangers,
those chance encounters,
right? Which, I so cherish at like events like Bike Happy Hour, where you can meet people that you haven't pre-screened. They're not a family member.
Exchange, like at the counter, you're picking up that slice of pizza. Like you exchange 2 sentences and like,
and you don't
that's
know
meaningful.
You don't know what their beliefs are. Right. Because you can't view their profile first or read their thing they posted on Blue Sky or whatever. Like, you have to just go into it.
Like the pre Google reviews era, when you just like went to a restaurant because it looked cool.
Whoa. Well, similar thing. It's true.
Exactly. I mean, it's so interesting, like what we've grown used to, and like now what we completely like. Anything lower than 4 stars, like, you're not going to go there. Right?
Isn't that weird?
It's like McDonald's or
And there was a new study out. Just saw it being thrown around the internet this morning about street life and what they're seeing on street life in terms of like lack of pedestrian, lack of people on streets, and obviously some of the same things, lack of third spaces, stuff like that, and what we can do. But it brings me back to my initial point of like, I read stuff like that and I'm like, a lot of these things we're looking at the news, whether it's, the Trump invasion or whatever, it's like, in a way, we've sort of been talking about this stuff for years. Like, we've been, saying like, especially when it comes to like the isolation part and like how to become citizens of a community, right? And it's like reading the stuff about street life. It's like, how many times we've been yelling and screaming about just do more things in the street. And the city's got all kinds of plans, right? Street plaza plans and, whatever, downtown plan. And it's like, just do it. Like, now's the time. You don't have money. Things are falling apart. Society needs face-to-face interaction.
Just put up some cones and whatever.
Just put some stuff up. People will figure it out. So
I did ride to Gay Skate the other night at Oaks Park, which was super fun.
Gay Skate?
Gay Skate.
Okay.
I think it's every Monday, maybe. I saw Kate there, who goes to Bike Happy Hour.
Oh, good.
I was there for a friend's birthday.
Nice. I love that you saw a Bike Happy Hour person.
I know.
So a friend,
she was really good.
A friend had a birthday and had
not
it during Gay Skate. That's good.
Yeah, he's gay, so
the skate,
Gay Skate.
The skate community in Portland is totally awesome. Just last night, Bike Happy Hour, Vive came and he had a odd looking bag, and I made some comment about what's in the bag. And he said rollerblades.
Oh, no way.
So Vive, who's awesome BikeLoud volunteer.
Hilarious. Did he rollerblade?
He's taking classes.
Oh, okay.
It's somebody who rented out one of the old stores in Lloyd Center.
Oh, awesome.
And turned it into like a skating how-to teaching center. So
Lloyd Center is so funny right now.
Yeah, it is.
I had a coffee meeting there like a couple months ago.
Do they have a coffee place?
There's a coffee place, yeah. It's called like Kia and Martin's or something like that. It's near the ice skating.
What was the bike parking like? What was your impression of?
Oh, there's plenty of bike parking there. I
it felt pretty safe
in the garage, kind of by the Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
Yeah, I've parked at Lloyd Center many times, never had an issue. I think there are a lot of people that get concerned just by like who's around or what. I don't know. I'm generally like a trusting person.
Yeah.
I have had a few bikes stolen in my life, so I'm not like super naive, but
yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
daytime.
As long as it's a
okay.
good spot, I'm generally I'm like I like to make a good high visibility spot. I have to share my one story about parking at Lloyd Center. I just got my custom Ahern, which I waited months and months, and it was such a neat bike. And I parked it there for some reason. I forget why I was there, but someone just stole the seat post and I had
some nice new Brooks
nice saddle. Yeah, nice saddle and seat post right off my brand new Ahern. Anyway, so that's my one Lloyd Center story. But yeah. But it's good. But the inside, I mean, it was like went off without a hitch. It is what it is.
There were people in there, we just they don't have Wi-Fi, which is annoying, but
that's weird. Of all places not to have a big public Wi-Fi cloud.
I feel like they should.
They should have that there. There was that plan. They had a master plan to redevelop it. I got to look back into that. And it was Nolan Leinhart, who's often in our circles, urban planner, works for a local architecture planning firm, who put together like the bike plan part of it. Do you remember that? I never did a story on BikePortland, and I was really kicking myself for not, because it's super interesting. Part of it is like because the big future for the Lloyd Centers are going to restitch the grid. So they want to, right now it's a big super block, and they want to make a little bit more continuity, or what would be the word?
Have the blocks go through.
Yeah, they want the blocks to go through to kind of create more vibrancy, I guess.
Okay.
And I'm like, one of the designs was like there would be a bike path kind of like going through the development, like a bike only. It wouldn't be open to cars, kind of like thing. So anyway, there's a lot of potential there in Lloyd Center, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm also fine if they just tear it down and put in houses.
All right. There you go. There you go.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very accessible, great transit,
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Easy access to everything.
So anything else from BikeLoud stuff? So the Bike Buddy program's going on, big plans for 2025, continue being awesome.
Yeah, continue being awesome. Keep like motivating people to do the stuff that they're motivated to do. Like bike buses. I mean, we're sort of like a support structure, right?
Like empowering the volunteers.
Yeah, empowering.
Yes,
that's a good word
smart.
for it.
Yeah.
Trying to give out like little micro grants to help rides happen or events happen. And we're definitely one of the things on our agenda is just to have more regular meetings, try to do monthly regular meetings, and then also have more regular rides in the kind of off season, right? Winter time. Because sometimes it's just sort of like sad and dreary out there, and it's nice to have some community.
Absolutely. Although the dryness we've had has been quite
really nice.
Quite a nice
I know.
thing for bike riders.
That first week of January was hard.
Yeah.
It was like just constant rain.
But just sunny day after sunny day. So, and there's been tons of people out biking.
Yeah.
I'm seeing them. Yeah. So
turns out the weather matters.
Yeah. And the cold and wet combination is like the number one killer.
I want to put in a plug for Maria Schur Bicycle Kitty.
Okay.
Caddyshack ride is coming up, which is one of my favorite middle of the winter rides.
Caddyshack next Saturday?
Next
Sunday?
Next Saturday?
February 2nd or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. The 2nd.
Cool. Watch for it on the weekend, guy.
Courses.
Oh, yeah. The golf course ride. That sounds like fun.
And lunch at Heron Lakes Golf Course.
Good. And I'll pray for sunny, dry weather.
Yes.
Speaking of riding, did you see my conversation with Joshua Forrest?
No.
Such a neat guy.
Tell me more.
I first learned about the legend of Joshua Forrest way back when Portland Afoot was still around, which was a local, really cool guide to low car life in Portland, created by Michael Anderson, who then was working with me for several years on BikePortland and then moved to Sightline. And they put on one of the most amazing events I've ever been a part of in Portland, and that is saying a lot. It was called Who Killed Fareless Square? Right? And it was like a murder mystery. It was citywide. They had actors in costume. It went from like downtown by Pioneer Square all the way out to Velocult was kind of like where they ended up. It was phenomenal. They had actors. They had, I think someone had hired a boat because part of it was you had to get across the Willamette. I wasn't closely involved with it, but it was like a huge murder mystery, and it was all transit nerd related and low car related.
When did Fareless Square go away?
It was so brilliant.
2012?
Was when the East Side streetcar was like planned or started, I think, because that was part of the reason they took it out. It's because they didn't think it was congruent.
Because it used to be we had zone, like you paid by the zone.
Yeah, I forget the year. It deserves a little bit more scrutiny, Fareless Square, and the story of that and why it's left and why it's got. Anyway, but when I was at that event and I was just blown away by it, that was also the event where I'm like, Michael Anderson, you and I are going to work together. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Joshua Forrest was like one of the creative minds behind that event, which was so cool. Anyway, and then he recently did the Reign of Taco ride, which basically was this crazy effort to like catalog every taco joint in the whole region and put it on an app so that people could do a Pedalpalooza bike summer ride and actually try to order tacos from like every taco place in the region. Anyway, and so he's doing a worldwide ride and he's 15,000 miles into it. Mostly it's been pretty much all in South America so far. So he phoned in from Quito, Ecuador, and we had a nice conversation. And he's just such a brilliant, interesting dude.
Yeah.
So there he is. We had the fun.
Have you participated in the Reign of Taco ride?
No.
Okay.
I haven't.
Me neither.
It's annual though, so it'll come up next year again. But
I love that even like the chain taco places are on there.
Yes.
Yeah, basically.
It doesn't discriminate.
Yeah,
it's just like
everything.
If you sell tacos
from a truck to
if you sell tacos,
corporate
it's on the
chain.
And that was interesting because we had a conversation you might have liked. It was about, well, you might have liked all of it, but it was this like technical thing about loading his touring bike.
I don't like everything.
Because he has this really interesting method of like stuffing all his bags in his front pannier, like his front racks.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he's all into like the front loading, which isn't very typical. But he said it works for him, especially on the downhills.
I mean, it depends on the bike, honestly, and maybe the rider.
Well, he blew up his first bike, probably because of that. He just grabbed whatever bike he had. He's a very frugal, kind of like low
I got a
cost
road bike, let's go.
Yeah, he just sets off, right, with like a tank top and flip-flops and goes around the world. That kind of guy. So yeah, his first bike basically blew up, like kept breaking. So he got a different one, kind of like more of a mountain bike, so probably stiff for front end, but
yeah. Okay, I Googled Fareless Square.
Oh yeah, okay.
It existed from January 1975.
Wow.
Through August 2012.
Okay, you're right.
I said 2012.
That's great.
It was briefly renamed the Free Rail Zone. I don't remember that in 2010. After its coverage became limited to light rail and streetcar.
Right.
Because they cut off the bus. Because it was awkward. You could get on the bus in Fareless Square, but you didn't, it's not like they were going to come tap you on the shoulder when they entered the zone.
Right. The pay zone.
Yeah.
Didn't right. I don't remember all the details of like how it worked and all that and a lot of the conversations around it, other than knowing that something with the East Side Streetcar was kind of like the reason they killed it off. There was something else. Oh yeah. If you're ever curious, there's Beth Hammond, who always comes to Bike Happy Hour now. She always gets there at 3. So if you're early bird, you can have wonderful conversations with Beth. She is, I believe, born and raised in Portland, if not here from a young age. Every week I feel like I'm learning more really intriguing Portland stories. Like I love Portland history from like people that were here.
Yeah.
She just happened to be talking last week about, we were talking about Pioneer Square, and she was saying how she was skateboarding down the ramp of the parking lot. And I'm like, are you talking about the parking lot that was at Pioneer Square? She's like, yeah, I used to skateboard down the ramp and it was super fun to hang out there. I was like, oh my gosh. It's
awesome.
It's hard to believe that there was a parking lot there to begin with, and then to have that connection to Beth and know that she's over there like hanging out on her skateboard.
Yeah. What era was that?
So cool. Yeah, good point. Probably
70s?
Probably 70s. I don't know when. That
either.
would be another Google.
This
Google
is just
thing.
us Googling.
Okay, speaking of Googling,
in the shed Googling.
Speaking of Googling, there was a really cool person. I think you met her last night, Lori.
Yeah.
Who came to Bike
Lori.
Happy Hour.
Mm-hmm.
She just showed up, bright-eyed, wonderful person. It was so great to have it's always good to have new people show up. And then someone told me that she came from 156th and Gleason or Halsey, something around
Gleason,
there.
yeah.
So Northeast Gleason and 156. Just rolled over to Bike Happy Hour, Williams and whatever, Shaver or something. It's quite a ride. So I thought we would maybe fire up the map and just look at
get there.
What is that?
How do you get there?
What do you do? Because I know that Northeast, especially when you're like there's a huge, and I want to do a thing on this. There's a huge like hole there's a lot of holes in the route when you get farther northeast, but like that thing around like the 205 path, like if you're in Park Rose trying to get west, good luck, right?
It's like a river, right? Like we only have so many bridge crossings.
Yeah, and between like 205, Rocky Butte, Lombard, like that's just so
I
hard
would say
to get
there's
east-west.
to get across, you can either go north to Prescott or south to Halsey.
All right,
I think those are the two crossings. Because that's for
dialing
me.
it up
That's
here.
like I'm,
156
from North Portland to get across. The Halsey sidewalk is probably the most
we talked about this last week
convenient to her, I would guess.
She said she got her way down to Burnside and used Burnside to come over.
Because Burnside's like a little
along
more
the way.
comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, so that's right by Glendevere. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at, Google Maps has, so 156 and Halsey, you're just on the other side of Glendevere. So, but I think both, I know Gleason on the south side of Glendevere has those protected bike lanes, right? Where it's parking protected. So that's kind of a refuge if you can get down to Gleason.
Yeah. You don't, Halsey is not a
148th has buffered bike lanes. So I bet she probably went south on 148th all the way to Burnside.
Yeah.
Is what she probably did.
Yeah.
And see those bike lanes on 148th. Yeah, they're buffered, or no, they're not buffered all the way, but at least they're bike lanes. And 148th is relatively small. I just feel
like a lot of roads in East Portland end. Like they're dead ends. And what?
Well, the blocks are bigger, less grid, just because land use different was set up. It's definitely more of a suburban style land use. But yeah, I mean, you could get to Halsey or you could get to Burnside, which is what Lori did. Burnside is going to be different for everybody. It's really similar to Interstate, where it's nice and narrow, so the speeds are pretty low, but then it's nice and narrow, so you're within inches of people driving cars. So they have recently added a buffer stripe, though, to Burnside, which is much appreciated, Peabot. Thank you. When you get further east. So she probably just took Burnside. Shoot, I don't know how far. I didn't ask her, but that would be a pretty easy cheat code if you wanted to get over. Of course, you go through some pretty gnarly intersections. But because the light rail is there, you're guaranteed at least a little more traffic calming than a lot of other streets out there. And then, of course, once you get over, like into Montevilla and stuff, things change a bit. But so you're kind of off the hook for how'd she get there, because we're kind of just taking. I'm gonna boot up the Portland bike map just to see if there's any.
She also told me she had a part-time job near the airport during the holidays. And was riding up there. And I was like, oh, so were there any other people who rode bikes to work? And she's like, no.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I always imagine there's not a lot, but there are people that are working at the airport riding bikes, because the racks usually have bikes in them.
She was working at Costco.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. That's a tough place to ride, unfortunately. The land use around Costco, it's a really bad mark against them. So I'm looking at the Portland interactive bike map that Peabot puts out. And if you're at 156 or so, there's just so many fewer options. Yeah. So you're right around this area. They also say you don't have this option of just picking a side street that's going to go through. No, because I think that's true in our neighborhood and in Southeast. Right.
Where you can really just ride almost any street.
Right.
Until you hit, a highway.
The city's map says 148th. So that's what you need to keep in mind if you're over in that zone. 156 or so. Use 148th to go north and south, and Gleason or Burnside to go east or west. We just need to interview Lori at the next. Yeah, see what she did. Have her get her route. Ooh, note that Gleason and 117th, the city has circled as a red caution circle. That's high crash. So be careful as you intersection. Be careful as you move through there. What else is on the agenda? Good question. Did you? We just made this meeting last night, so. Yeah. As you do. I like to have my agendas and all. I did tell you I was on Bike Talk. Yeah. Another podcast. Yeah. What was that like? Dipping my toes into other things. Well, for one, they made the meeting at 7 a.m., which is before I usually wake up. Yeah. And before the sun wakes up, which for me is winter is hard to wake up before the sun. Wow. Okay. So that was my first step, was waking up at 6:30, which surprised my cat. Your cat's my routine. What's going on? Why is he up? My human. Here? Keep me warm in the bed still. No, it was good. So this guy was interviewing different sort of nonprofits around the nation, kind of about what they're doing, what their goals for 2025 are, that kind of thing. What you're excited for, and I of course was Bike Summer. Excited for Bike Summer because honestly, in terms of what other cities have, that is a pretty incredible thing. Mm-hmm. Just to bring people together and
fun stuff that's all like basically crowdsourced.
Yeah. So as the more interviews you do and stuff, like whenever you're doing interviews, like the always the best, easiest answer is just say Bike Summer and start talking about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like the universal answer. Like, what's so different about Portland and interesting about Bike Summer?
Well,
what are you looking forward to? Bike Summer.
Exactly.
How have you guys been able to create such a great Bike Summer? It's like
he was asking me if Portland was the best place for biking, and I was like, I don't know.
Say yes.
Well,
confidently.
I'm not. I can't like put a superlative. Like,
I
who
will.
knows?
Well, true. I guess there's a little bit of ego there.
I've only lived here for, the past almost more than 20 years.
And we're still drawing people to Portland because of that. Mm-hmm. Another fun conversation we had last night at Bike Happy Hour was with Carlos from Primos Cycles. Yeah. A new brand, just started like over the summer. Just two dudes from Chile who could have moved anywhere they wanted. Mm-hmm. They had some bike industry experience. One's an engineer, one's more the bike industry guy, right? So they're kind of just as two partners doing this cool thing, a new brand. And they kind of just decided out of the blue to come to Portland because they had a feeling that this is a good place to be for just, what the biking is in the water here, right?
And it was, this place is cool. This place is awesome.
So now we have a new Portland, based in Portland bike brand that is, I think
everything is closing.
Not everything is closing. And I just love that, here, I mean, it's been a while since I remember Bike Brand moving. It used to be kind of just like a normal thing. Yeah. Like a couple dudes left Planet Bike, which was this huge juggernaut of accessory company back in the day. And they started a new thing here because this was the place to be. Like it was pretty common. I mean, Chris King moved here, like it kept happening. But yeah, so that was cool. So Primos Cycles, I'm going to have at least Carlos into the shed as soon as I can.
Definitely.
Because I'm so excited about that. I think that it's kind of taking off. I don't know. I'm seeing all of a sudden shops carrying them, and
who's carrying
on social media. They're sending them out to people, and people are using them and riding them and liking them. So it's like an affordable gravel bike kind of thing. It's like higher quality than I think like maybe a Surly style thing, but similar thing where it's like high value. At least I shouldn't say anymore.
And you said like Russ and Laura, or Russ from Pathless Pedal is reviewing.
It was just on Pathless Pedals, so I don't know if Russ will have bad things to say about it. I'm not sure, but just the fact that it's on there means that Carlos's phone's gonna be blowing up probably, since they have a massive audience. So yeah, that was fun to hear that new people still want to move here. So
totally.
But yeah, I'm glad you're on a podcast. That was cool.
Yeah. I usually say yes to things.
Do you?
Pretty much.
I don't say yes as much as I used to.
I mean, that's good. You should save yourself a little bit.
Well, you
probably get a lot of solicitations.
I mean, like how many, well, not as much anymore. Not as much as the old days necessarily, but how many times have I gone on interviews with KATU, local ABC affiliate? Yeah. How many times have they read BikePortland stories and made stories? Like millions, right? Like millions over the years. And so the fact that they like plagiarized a part of my story last week just like validated why I'm just tired of dealing with these local media stations. They're just, all they do is take for the most part. And, often I don't really love their stories anyway when they do them around our stuff. And I'm just kind of like, why spend the time to go try to make an earnest interview and have an earnest conversation?
What TV stations are doing a better job?
And they use 2 seconds of it. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's always good folks at all these stations, but it's like.
But their thing was like, oh, that person doesn't work here anymore.
Yeah, they just copied a story and put it out, and I'm just like, well, whatever. Yeah, maybe the person was a bad whatever journalist to begin with, and that's why they left. But I don't know. But it's just kind of like,
they're just using AI to write stories.
Who knows? I mean, let's be honest. They look at a lot of BikePortland stories. They don't have the ability to cover niches, but they need a constant flow of stories to like justify their whole content needs or whatever, because that's corporate media these days. And they wouldn't have done the story if it wasn't up. I mean, that's just how it works. But usually they're good enough at rewriting them and moving the words around so that it looks like they wrote it. Right,
sure.
But they would never have written it if they didn't see it, and they basically anyway, so yeah.
But are any cable news or network news stations doing a good job, do you think?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Transportation.
There's tons of good reporting out there. Yeah. Absolutely. Portland Mercury does a good job on stuff. Way to go, Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
There's so much out there. There's so much good journalism. But usually like the 4 TV stations in town. Typically not, I mean, sometimes I'll do like, I liked, some recent investigative reporting, I think from, I don't want to get this wrong because he did a good job.
You're driving me crazy.
Was it
Who's
Coin?
that guy?
Yeah, the KTW. Chris, he
Yeah.
does a good job. Like, that's
Yeah.
great. I love that.
Chris McGinnis.
Ask some questions. Yeah, Chris McGinnis. Ask some questions, dig into some issues. I love that Driving Me Crazy actually nerds out on little kind of like road safety issues that typically it's only like something like BikePortland nerds out on. So it's always fun to have a little bit more people doing that. So I feel less, niche-y and stuff.
You don't have to be alone.
I had someone from The Guardian ask if I want to write a story about the bike bus. Was it the bike bus? Yeah.
Wow.
And then I said, is there any payment for this? And then I haven't heard back. So, I mean, that's like a little bit more how
they're like checking in with the Treasury.
I don't typically write for, I've never written really for other people. That's just like, if I'm going to write something, I'm going to do it for BikePortland. Like, I have my own outlet. Why do I need to go guest write somewhere else? That's just always been the way I've looked at it. But I was like, I'm a fan of The Guardian, like I donate to them, and it's like, it's been a huge resource for me for so long, and they do good independent work, I think. And it's, like a good progressively
it's kind of nice
reliable
to read
outlet.
what the British think about.
Yeah, I think they have pretty,
our
they have high
politics.
standards. It's like a legit media source. But I was like, yeah, can you is there any compensation? And I only ask, not because I don't do things without pay, because I certainly always entertain, I do a ton of stuff without being paid for it. But it's more like when people reach out and ask for something and you don't mention payment up front, that bothers
you
me.
need clarity.
Yeah, I always will say I'm paying for this, or I'll throw a number out just to like everybody knows. So anyway, Justin Timberlake came on the bike bus, I guess, since last time we talked. We talked since then.
Did you cover that?
No.
No.
I
Okay.
didn't cover that.
I don't know.
Don't ask me. I ranted about this at Bike Happy Hour, and I instantly saw everybody's faces turn very sour because they don't like to hear me rant like that. But I was planning on it for a long time with Sam, and then at the last minute, Sam said I wasn't able to come because the Justin Timberlake's people said they couldn't have media there.
Oh.
And so I'm like, okay, that's fine. I won't go. I'll spend the Sunday doing something else.
But then the Oregonian was there, right?
And then, then I was walking down 23rd with my family, and literally someone on the street who recognized me said, "Hey, Jonathan, did you hear Justin Timberlake was on the bike bus today? I just saw it. It's so cool. Did you know?"
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah. So I'm then my phone. It's like, oh, Mercury Taylor was there. The Oregonian has a whole story in a video. Just like, oh, that kind of things that happens, where I'm told like something about it, and then or something's embargoed, and like. So I don't know. Maybe it was a miscommunication. I never got to the bottom of what happened, but it was a little bit annoying, yes, because we like the Mercury's post had thousands and thousands.
Sure,
and like literally,
sure.
that's my business to cover stuff like that.
It's like good.
I had the first video of that bike bus that ever existed before even Sam put a video out. I had a video out on it, so I feel a little bit of connection to it, and it was annoying. So I think it was probably just a misunderstanding. I'm sure that the Timberlake people said we'll handle media,
right?
And Sam might have interpreted that as whatever. And so what they did, they went out to their traditional media list and didn't include BikePortland.
Click.
Yeah.
Or they had a PR person from Portland who said,
exactly,
these are the people.
There's the people. So I'm not on all those lists all the time. So that's my story about how I had no coverage of the bike bus. And I'm too, I don't know, this is a flaw of my personality, but I'm too proud and annoyed to like have just piggybacked and written a post saying that Justin Timberlake was on the bike bus.
Right. Here's some photos I took years ago.
Yeah. Or like, here's some screenshots of another outlet's picture. Like, no, I'm not doing that. It's fine. I mean, I've covered that enough where I don't really care too much. But anyway, it's kind of funny.
Sorry.
Fun little story. Yeah.
Bring up some some turmoil.
I don't really actually care about meeting Justin Timberlake either. It was just more like. Anyway.
Well, I was talking to a friend and we were like, oh yeah, he needed good press after that DUI. So,
well, I have a feeling the comment section on BikePortland, it already was people, because I mentioned it in the Monday roundup, and people were just eager to talk about that. And that is just like perfect red meat for like BikePortland commenters to talk about. Jonathan, why don't you ask him about, you must be, now you support
can just
DUIs.
Be positive, right?
Yeah. Okay, speaking of DUIs.
Speaking of DUIs,
here's a little tidbit.
Okay.
You love how I work stuff in. A little tidbit. Do we all remember, I think it was May of last year, where a guy took a Mini Cooper and he busted through the bollards they'd been removed, the bollards on the Springwater, and drove his Mini Cooper all the way down from the Fourth Carruthers by Splendid Cycles all the way south to Oaks Park, right by whatever that is, Tacoma, Spokane, I always forget.
Yeah.
And then he got like high-sided on a bollard that hadn't been removed and stuck there, and then ultimately arrested. Right, so they got the guy.
Yeah.
I heard from someone that knows that guy just recently, who was just really mad to find out that the guy who did that, who was drunk, by the way, in his car, blew by Aaron Keene, by the way, from BikeLoud.
And nudged him. Hit him a little bit.
So flying down the Springwater path, which is a car-free path, folks, in a car, a small car, but a car nonetheless, which in a relatively narrow
that
path.
fits well on that path.
Yeah, I mean, people had to jump out of the way. Here's what happened to the guy: $1,000 fine, license suspended for a year, 3 years probation. This person thought that was too little. I'm very I don't know. I just have a very dim view of car culture, and I'm like, oh, at least he got a license suspended.
Yeah.
But I mean, he also had 2 prior convictions for DUI, right? 2 prior convictions from DUI. You get to drive again after a year.
In France, they rig your car so you can't go faster than 40 kilometers an hour.
Oh, don't even get
This
me.
is way better. Like, you should, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just okay, we're just going to shame you now.
Yeah, and it's also like a lot of places in Europe have zero tolerance for alcohol, and that stuff really is true. Like, trust me.
And then they have the little breathalyzer to start your car too.
Yeah, but I mean, so $1,000 fine for your 3rd DUI, and you drove on a car-free path where people had to jump out of your way.
And you hit people.
And you will be driving soon. I'm sure he's going to appeal it in maybe, who knows, 8 months.
Yeah. Well, and how many people are driving with a suspended license
not
too?
cool.
Because you just can't get around otherwise.
I would be all for zero tolerance alcohol. I know it would never happen because the alcohol lobby would just freak out, but I would love that. It was, I'm it would radically shift American culture.
I mean, I was so hopeful when Uber became a thing in cities that people would choose the better path.
Right.
But it's not.
I will admit it was frustrating in Hungary when we were visiting over the summer just recently, and they were very serious about that, right? So even among family, that's how much you can change culture. It's possible. Policy can change
people.
Culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people here would be like, no. But, well, of course, Hungary has a different relationship with police in general, having been occupied by tons of different police forces, including Russians and all this stuff over the years. So they have a different type of respect for law enforcement, which unfortunately doesn't exist necessarily in the U.S.
Yeah.
Right, left, center. People are like, I don't care, a cop, what? But there, they do not. I was frustrated several times. I was like, I'm in Hungary on an awesome vacation, standing in a vineyard, and somebody's offering me wine, and you're saying if I drink this, I can't drive the car back or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, okay. It's amazing. They adhere to it. So imagine living in a world where people are expected to be safe when they operate their vehicles. Speed limiters would fix all that. And, it reminds me of this silly, well, I shouldn't say that, but Senator Przanski down in Eugene, who proposes this ban on e-bikes because he's annoyed that some people go too fast on the bike paths, instead of just thinking about limiting speeds or doubling down on, making it clear how fast you can go on paths or something.
Just,
really frustrating.
Slow down.
Yeah, slow down.
Slow down.
Yeah, so there's a couple bills we're tracking.
How many other things can we rant about today?
I don't know. This seems like this is all very ranty. How can we unrant? Let me check. What do I have on here that's not ranting related?
You like kittens
nothing.
or
It's
rainbows,
all ranting.
anything?
Oh, there's a cool thing coming up. And I haven't mentioned this on BikePortland. I don't know if a lot of people know, but there's this whole thing called City of Possibility.
I don't know about it.
It's starting, I believe, on February 2nd, so next weekend or this weekend, soon. City of Possibility. I'll put a link in the show notes. It's from the Portland Design Collaborative. It's basically all about architecture and urban design. And there's a ton of really cool transportation, streets related pieces of it. I think even Millicent Williams is going to do a presentation about style in the street.
Okay.
And I think she's going to be...
So this kind of like Design Week?
I think it's like a, Winterlight Festival?
Yeah, sure.
Or time-based art or whatever.
TBA.
It's like that, but for urban planning. It's going to be over several weeks. And I'm just kind of trying to figure out the details, but it's like over several weeks, and it's all based around... They're going to open up like the city model downtown, which shows like, it's like like a scale model. I think someone redid that or something. Anyway, it's all for like urban planning nerds and like architects and stuff.
That's great.
And there's gonna be tons of like Ryan Hashkin's doing something about Burnside. There's a lot of interesting things happening around. Portland State has been doing some cool studies around Burnside. What's going to happen when they replace the bridge, and wanting to basically shut that whole area, make that whole area like a car-free zone, because that's going to take however long to replace the bridge. So a lot of interesting. There's going to be, what if Portland did its car-free plan that they had back in the 70s? I think some PSU students are going to make a presentation or an event around that.
Car-free downtown.
Yeah, there's a car-free downtown plan that we have. I think it's from 1972, right? And it's got all these cool car-free zones that haven't been. I'm not turning this into a rant. I'm not going to start ranting about this. But anyway, City of Possibility. So look that up. Randy
Yeah.
Gregg, which folks may know as like a long-time architecture reporter, doing cool things. So there's
Speaking
that.
of architecture, the library on Killingsworth is going to be opening soon.
Yes.
And then the Kenton Library is going to close. But
Ooh, not great. But yeah, that's
yeah.
totally redone right by Jefferson High School, Killingsworth. We'll have to check if they have a community room.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do some of these meetings we were talking about.
I know. The community rooms in the libraries are pretty great.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Strong Towns does their meetings there too, right? Mm-hmm. I still haven't connected with them. Does BikeLoud do anything with them or?
No, but we have some like membership overlap.
Okay.
So maybe in the future we will.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
We had a table. Chaz and I were at this Tributary Alliance thing that was sort of like a Tributary Alliance is a group, sort of a coalition of many environmental groups that does these things called Rumble on the River, which are basically just like speaker events about various topics. So we were there. They had some people from PSF talking about just projects that have been happening and kind of their journey from just a concept to like really making it happen. Cam Pham was there.
Cool.
Sam Barrasso was there from PSF.
Oh, good.
The executive director of Bird Alliance was there. So anyways, we had a table next to Strong Towns. So they had a little area where people could talk to nonprofits about what was going on.
Good. Cool. Mm-hmm. I think we should have a Strong Towns. We should invite them, make sure they come out to Bike Happy Hour in the future. Time to have some more theme nights and stuff. But we can't do it on, 2 weeks from now. February 5th is going to be the 50th anniversary.
Your 50th
my
anniversary.
50th anniversary party
of life
at Bike Happy Hour. So everybody mark their calendars for that if you want to come and help me celebrate my 50th birthday,
of Jonathan's
which is literally
life.
on the Wednesday of February 5th. Bike Happy Hour number 97, 96. And I haven't figured out what I'm going to do because I still have basketball practice that night.
Oh, no.
And I don't want to cancel it. And but I'm going to have people there at my party
what
at
time
Bike
is
Happy
practice?
Hour. So practice starts at 7.
Okay.
So I don't know. Unless I can coordinate someone to drive me right there, I'd have to leave at like
dinner
6:30.
on the go, and then
So anyway, maybe I'll reschedule my practice, but either way, I'll be
Do you
there.
have dreams for your 50th year on this planet?
Dreams?
Yeah.
Yeah, finally figure a bunch of stuff out.
Okay.
All my stuff. I'm trying not to
Your
use profanity. All my stuff out. Yeah.
Okay. Is that your 2025?
Figure out if I can
no
have
profanity.
Yeah, 50th birthday. This year I want to figure out if I can have like a normal life and continue to have BikePortland in it.
There is no normal. What is normal?
Or like a less BikePortland oriented life and still have BikePortland be cool and great.
Yeah.
But not have it be so much of a part of what I'm doing because I want to do other things.
You want to take this hat off and put a different
literally.
hat on.
Give this hat to Doss, one of my BikePortland Society members who was sort of griping that I haven't given any cool prizes to those wonderful echelon of supporters, and he wants a hat. So yeah, take this hat off, put other hats on, and do other cool stuff. So that's what I'll be doing next year for sure. And I'll every week be hopefully talking to you, seeing everybody at Bike Happy Hour. My office hours on Fridays, not this Friday because I'll be gone, but sign up for those if you want to chat about anything. I had a very random chat last week with a person. I'd actually met them at Bike Happy Hour, but someone that wanted to do more research about all the stuff we talk about. We talked about daylighting, leading pedestrian intervals. She was like, what kind of cool stuff in this space can I do some research on? Yeah. It's like, hey, I happen to have a whole list of things that I'd like to know more about.
Yeah.
So anyway, sign up. I got office hours, 10:30 to noon every Friday, 15-minute slots if anybody wants to chat. But
Professor is in the house.
I mean, so that's, this year coming up, 20th year of the site, 50th year of my life, sharing my knowledge, and everything else.
Start smoking cigars.
Yeah, figuring out other things to do. Making BikePortland cool, continuing, and all that stuff. And, well, Eva.
Yeah.
Good to chat.
Yeah.
And I'll see you 2 Fridays from now, probably.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Okay. See you later.
Adios.
Bye.